All right, Wade Allyn, War Now. Welcome to another wonderful week of War Now. And by the way, contracts are signed. National syndication is done. I'll make the announcement this week of exactly who and where and when, but the deal is now officially signed over the weekend. This show's going national, baby. National syndication is done and on the wheel, as they say, ready to go. Wade Allyn, War Now, middle-class warrior, relentless freedom fighter, capitalist evangelist, conservative rock star, media superstar, and all-around lovable badass at your service. What's this war good for? God, guns, gold, tax cuts, term limits, Trump, and that wonderful tall wall. That's how we save America, capitalism, and American exceptionalism. The only radio host in America who's an SOB, son of a butcher, small businessman, homeschool dad, and the founder of A.A.R.P., Americans Against Rotten Politicians. My books, The Power of Relentless, Murder of the Middle Class, and Angry White Male, all of them came to pass. My website, rootforamerica.com, all the conservative news and opinions that matter. Register for free right now at rootforamerica.com. The call-in phone number, add to your speed dial, 844-WAR-NOW-1. Toll-free nationwide, 844-WAR-NOW-1. Numerically, that's 844-927-6691. 927-6691 and an 844 toll-free number, toll-free area code. Listen online at 790talknow.com. Click on the top and I'm on. It's that simple. And listen to all the shows you missed on my YouTube channel, War Now Radio. This show is sponsored by Swiss America, the gold standard, the number one precious metals company in America. Contact Swiss America at 800-BUY-COIN or go to SwissAmerica.com. Now it's time for the world-famous Root Rant. In the 3 o'clock hour, I really sum up what will be on this show for the next 3 hours, some of the things you'll want to call in about. And let me start with something I got just a few minutes ago. The free rides are over. The free rides are over. A Reuters filing en route to Asia showcases the bitterness, anger, and seething rage of U.S. journalists who have been forced to fly, poor babies, first-class commercial to cover Secretary of State Rex Tillerson's Asia trip. First class, they're complaining about, by the way. I just got back from 2 weeks in Asia, and I flew first class, as if that's bad. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. But they want to fly in a private jet. State Department correspondents are used to the exclusive wide-body private chambers of the U.S. federal government's airline fleet. Previous heads of the Department of State have flown aboard Air Force 3, normally a Boeing 757. At the very worst, Air Force 3 would be a C-17 Globemaster. However, Rex Tillerson, otherwise known as T-Rex, good name, T-Rex, is taking a smaller jet to Asia and only one journalist accompanies him. And to make matters exponentially worse, T-Rex did not select a journalist from the corporate stable of the pedigreed media elites. We can only imagine how Andrea Mitchell must be seething at having to take simple first-class commercial flight accommodations with ordinary people. The scope of the almost unimaginable horror she has to face will soon pour from her pursed and vengeful lips. We can predict a retaliatory report soon from the wrath of the ignored elitist within NBC. They shall be, as they say, epic. This shall be, as they say, epic. Secretary Tillerson has rebuked customs and norms. The traveling correspondents will have to pass through customs and passport checks as if they're ordinary people. There's a very real possibility no one will recognize them or care diligently for their very individual and specific needs. Can you imagine Andrea Mitchell, otherwise known as Mrs. Allyn Greenspan? Did you know that? Andrea Mitchell of NBC is married to the former head of the Fed, Allyn Greenspan, flying all the way to Asia from the eastern seaboard and having to do that on a commercial flight. My God, have we really dropped our standards of decency that far? Oh yeah, the pontificating journalist elites are peed off. After traveling with every possible indulgence aboard exclusive State Department accommodations with Secretary Clinton and Secretary Kerry, you cannot even fathom how angry they are right now without private dining, personal chefs, shaved chocolates, and crystal mimosas. None of this is me joking. This bunch of snobs having to fly commercials unheard of. They're ready to tear into Secretary Tillerson in every single filed report. Just watch it. When you see TV, you'll watch it. You'll see it. Tillerson's traveling to Asia this week, accompanied by only one reporter, a White House correspondent from the Independent Journal Review, IJR, a digital news outlet founded in 2012 by former Republican political operatives. The IJR said in a statement, late Tuesday, the State Department last week offered one of its reporters, Erin McPike, a place aboard the Secretary's aircraft on his trip this week to Asia. The State Department had previously told reporters covering Tillerson's trip to South Korea, Japan, and China that he would not be taking reporters on his plane. They would have to fly commercially, breaking with decades of precedent stretching back to Henry Kissinger. The complaints came in from CNN, BBC, New York Times, Washington Post, and Reuters. The State Department Correspondents Association, which represents reporters who cover U.S. diplomacy, said in a statement it was disappointed Tillerson chose to travel to Asia without a full contingent of media. After saying it was unable to accommodate press on the Secretary's plane to Asia due to space and budget constraints, the State Department offered a unilateral seat to one reporter. Several of our members have traveled commercially to meet Tillerson on the ground in Asia. We expect the diplomatic press corps will be afforded access to Secretary Tillerson equal to that given to the reporter on the plane. You know, you could just picture how angry these people are. Unbelievable. So they're used to this, not first-class treatment. They're flying first class now. You wouldn't think they complain about that. I was blessed and honored to be flying first class to Asia. But then I've never flown private jets. And they're used to private jets. Democrats say we'll shut down the government over the border wall. Do you remember when Republicans had the audacity, according to liberals and the media, the audacity to ever suggest if they didn't get their way on the budget or whatever it was, they would shut down the government. Spending was too big. And they would shut down the government. And what terrible things people in the media said about Republicans. I mean, you were just killing old ladies and killing children and, you know, just murdering the world. You're just so evil. You're so non-compassionate. You're just terrible people. And now Democrats are threatening to shut down the government over a lousy border wall. And you watch, no one will care. I'm going to give you a phone number right now, and I hope you check in on this phone number. There was an article in the media. I didn't print it out because it actually was too long. It was like 100 pages long when you included all of the charts and graphs, and I just didn't even bother printing it out. Who wants to carry a 100-page article with you? But basically it said, here are the major sanctuary cities in America based on the amount of ICE demands to grab a person in prison and take them and deport them, and the amount of times that the police in that jurisdiction turned them down and would not grant ICE picking that person up, which means the police are breaking the law. And guess who was number one in America the very week this was written? Clark County, Las Vegas. Clark County, Las Vegas led the nation in the number of ICE requests that were denied. I think it was last week or the week before. And so I'm going to give you the phone number of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, the non-emergency phone number. And you should contact the police department at this toll-free number, 1-800-492-6565, or if it just so happens the toll-free number doesn't work in Vegas, I don't think that's possible. I think a toll-free number like mine works everywhere in the country. But if you need a local number, it's 702-828-3111. 3111, 702-828-3111, or toll free 800-492-6565, and I'll try and give this number every hour. I want the listeners of Wayne Allyn Root WAR Now to light up the Metro Police Department and ask them why an article is out saying that they lead the nation, or I should say we, Las Vegas Police and Las Vegas Clark County, leads the nation in turning down ICE requests to detain criminals so they could be deported. And I want you to register your complaint, and I want you to state loudly that we are not a sanctuary city. And heads are going to roll if you think we are a sanctuary city. Call the Vegas Police, 702-828-3111. Flood them. Toll free, 800-492-6565. Let them get the message. We're not a sanctuary city. If we are, screw you. Fire everybody involved. I wrote a commentary for Thursday's RJ. We'll talk about that on today's show. It is the disaster of renaming McCarran Harry Reid Airport. Wait till you hear what I have to say about that. I wrote an article for the internet, or all the big conservative sites. Democrats are the birthers now, and I'll point out why Democrats are birthers. And we'll talk during this show about Malibu becoming a sanctuary city in solidarity with gardeners, cooks, and maids in the U.S. illegally. I lived in Malibu for 15 years, and I knew these people intimately, and they're all frauds and hypocrites. They lived in Malibu on gated estates with guards with guns. They couldn't care less about illegals. They don't want them near their house unless they're cleaning their toilet bowls or mowing their lawns. They have no solidarity with illegals, except when they clean up for them. These people are so full of crap. And how about the man who walked through New York City wearing a red Make America Great hat and basically got his ass kicked all over New York City? People threatened his life. They threatened to beat him up. They threatened to kick his ass. They threatened to knock his hat off his head. They made him leave the restaurant. They wouldn't serve him drinks. It's what you get in liberal enclaves with their tolerance, their wonderful free speech that they believe in, except when it disagrees with them. All of this and more coming up on War Now. I'm Wayne Allyn. Lots of battles out there. But you know what? We've only just begun to fight. War Now. All right, Wayne Allyn, War Now. Here's what happens when you wear a MAGA hat in New York City, Make America Great, red Trump hat. In the left-leaning Big Apple, it's a fashion faux pas, more fatal than walking around in sandals with socks or strapping a fanny pack around your waist. It's wearing a Make America Great hat again. To see for myself, this is written by Adine Balsamini. To see for myself, I sported the fire engine red baseball cap worn by Donald Trump on the campaign trail in liberal gin joints and shops across Manhattan and Brooklyn. I may well have been wearing a Red Sox hat at Yankee Stadium. Remember a few years back where the San Francisco Giants were playing the L.A. Dodgers, and a fan in Dodger Stadium was wearing a San Francisco Giants cap, and some Dodger fan or fans beat the crap out of him, put him in a coma, and he will be literally semi-brain dead, incredibly slow the rest of his life. It's dangerous to walk into Yankee Stadium wearing a Red Sox cap, or how about walking into Fenway Park with a Yankee cap? It's dangerous. And so, when he makes that analogy, he's being pretty serious. You don't want to do things like that. So wearing a Trump Make America Red cap around New York City, here's the result. The mere sight of my cap nearly caused a riot at the historic Stonewall Inn on Christopher Street. That's a gay neighborhood, and that is a gay bar, Stonewall Inn. It's a famous place where they had some gay riots in the 1960s. Oh, here it is, site of the 1969 riots that launched the gay rights movement. You come into a gay bar. This gay bar, one woman lectured as a large crowd gathered at Soho's Cine La Esquina, where celebrities like Julia Roberts nosh on $26 enchiladas. Servers nearly lost their lunch when I showed up. Oh, my God, you see that? Is he serious? Is he kidding me? A waiter gasped. My companion and I were quickly shunted to an out-of-sight table near a back wall. At Sylvia's Soul Food restaurant in Harlem, all-black area of New York City, or very, majority African-American area of New York City, my server, Patrick Brose, admitted after my meal he was taken aback by the hat. Nearby folks were less diplomatic. Don't talk to him. A man instructed a street vendor as I browsed along 125th Street near the famous Apollo Theater. Hipsters and trustafarians along Bedford Avenue in Williamsburg either did a double take, shot me a death stare, or a snarky remark. Take off that stupid effing hat, one skinny jeans wearer sneered. At high-end chapeau peddler Gorin Brothers, meaning a dog peddler, I guess that means, I heard a salesman tell his colleague, I'm losing my you-know-what, S-H-I-T, as I walked in. When I asked him to hold my hat while I admired a fedora, it's a high-end peddler of hats. I asked him to hold my hat while I admired a fedora. He grimaced. I'm surprised nobody's knocked that hat off your head, a mother of two scolded me as we crossed paths along Central Park West and 63rd. Make America great again. Yeah, right, she said. On the sidewalk near Lincoln Center, I spotted comedian Chris Rock. Asked him to join me in a selfie. He raised his palm in my face and kept on walking. Here's another one, very similar. A Philadelphia man has sued a New York City bar after he says he was denied service because he was wearing a hat supporting President Donald Trump. The New York Post reports Greg Piatek says in the lawsuit he and his friends were initially served drinks at the Happiest Hour, that's the name of the bar, the Happiest Hour, on January 28th, but he says once a bartender noticed his Make America Great Again hat, he asked Piatek if it was a joke. He says his second round of drinks was slammed down in the bar. The suit claims a manager later asked Piatek to leave, saying he was told by the bar owner, anyone who supports Trump or believes what you believe is not welcome here. The bar did not immediately respond to a request for comments from the Associated Press. Huh. All right. Hey, is the police department mad at us? Is that what's going on? They want to talk to me on the air? Line 2. All right. We've got Christian on line 2. Christian, you're on with Wade Allyn. You're with the Las Vegas MPD. How are you, man?
This is actually Christine.
Christine?
Hi there,
Oh,
Wade.
I'm sorry, but my board op doesn't spell the way I read. Sorry about that. Hey, Christine, how are you?
I'm great, but you made my head explode.
I'm sorry. Should I have given out a different number? Do you want me to give out a different number?
Yes.
Give me the number.
I
Go
don't know
ahead.
the number, but the first number you gave out, the 465 number, not the 828-3111. That's main dispatch.
Here's what I got on the Las Vegas MPD homepage. It said that for non-emergency general information, 702-828-3111.
Well, that is non-emergency dispatch, which sometimes people can be waiting an hour to get through to one of us, but I work in the dispatch center. So you're going to clog up the line.
Got it.
Really
Okay. No problem. I agree with you. All right. So what's the right one? Should it be the Office of Public Information, 828-3394 maybe?
That could be it, or the sheriff's office.
Oh, what is the sheriff's office number?
It should be on the homepage there. Honestly, I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm in my car right now.
I do not. Yeah, I don't see it. But the one thing I don't want to do is give out an emergency number, obviously. So I wanted to be careful. I did not do that. But I don't see the sheriff's number. But maybe the Office of Public Information is the best place to go. Make sense?
Yes.
I will make sure.
Much
yes.
better, please.
I'm sorry. No. I love my police. I love my police. I'm sorry. I love my police. I will give out that one from now on. Or I'll also give out. How about the email address? That'll probably make you guys much happier. The email address of the Office of Public Information, PIO@lvmpd.com. How about that?
That's better. Much better.
Perfect,
Thanks,
Christine. Thank you. Thanks for making it clear.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, so we made their ears explode. That's good. Got a lot of power here. So now let me make sure I repeat that correct number on the air to call the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police and let them know we don't want this being a sanctuary city and we don't want them denying requests for detention from ICE. We do not want them doing that. So the correct number is the Office of Public Information, 702-828-3394. 702-828-3394. And you should email them too, in my opinion. Send them an email with a piece of your mind. We don't want this being a sanctuary city. We don't want them denying requests from ICE to hold people, detain people. We want them cooperating with ICE. PIO, capital P, capital I, capital O. Must be Public Information Officer, PIO, at lvmpd.com. PIO at lvmpd.com. And all of you know how much I love the police department. I love policemen. But, that's like saying I love military, men and women who are willing to risk their lives in the military, and I do. But you know what? Some of the generals were lackeys for Barack Obama, and some of the generals think that soldiers need a lawyer to give them advice on who to shoot and who not to shoot. So I don't always like generals just because I like the average foot soldier, and I feel the same way about police. I love the thin blue line. I love the people who wear a holster and put their life on the line walking the streets of Las Vegas and every other city for that matter. But I don't necessarily like their brass who give them rulings because they're more of politicians than they are police officers. And I'd like to know who ruled that the week this article came out, Las Vegas and Clark County led the nation in denying requests from ICE to detain illegals. Who made that decision? Sheriff Lombardo? I don't know. I've met him. I think he's a nice guy. I don't really know. Maybe it had nothing to do with him. Maybe it's the mayor's office. Maybe it's the governor Sandoval. I don't know who it is. Maybe it's the county commission. I don't know who gives the orders. But I think we should rattle their chain. 702-828-3394. Send the emails to PIO@LVMPD. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, LVMPD. All right. So, Christine, thank you for that call. We've got line 3, Andrew on the line. Andrew, you're on with Wayne on the Route. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Wayne. First-time caller.
Hey, congratulations. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I just wanted to follow up. You had an event at your house on Friday,
Yes.
and I wasn't able to attend, but you talked to my friend Ron to give you my idea if he could do something called Shut Up Schumer.
Yeah, you wanted a segment
get
on the
them.
shout. You want on my new national show.
It's just an idea for you to do.
Yes,
Okay.
a segment on my new national show where we shout out Schumer every single week. We follow everything he does and let people know what a jerk he is,
all
right?
His lies. Exactly.
All right, I like it. I think it's a good idea. Look, Schumer is the minority head of the United States Senate. He is the Democrats' leader in the U.S. Senate. So, I think we could follow Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and get all kinds of dumb comments and dumb statements from those two that would just make everyone in America go, oh, my God, how could anyone be this stupid and lack common sense like these two do,
Exactly.
So I appreciate it, Andrew.
All right.
I think it's a good idea. Thank you, man. All right, so I lived for many years in Malibu, California. When we get back, I will tell you about Malibu becoming a sanctuary city in solidarity with its gardeners, cooks, and others. I remember when I lived there, and Martin Sheen, the famous actor and the father of Charlie, the HIV-positive moron who does nothing but screw around with porn stars, great dad he was. Martin made an announcement to the world that all the homeless of L.A. should come on up to Malibu, but he didn't give his address. And so the streets were filled with homeless people walking around Malibu asking, how do I find Martin Sheen's address? And, of course, nobody told them. We don't know. I don't know Martin Sheen's address. And he knew that. And that's why these guys are all full of crap. All these liberals are full of BS. Bullspit. They don't want any homeless people on their lawns, and they don't want to be friends with any illegals, but they'll let you clean their toilet bowls as their maid or cook for them or be their gardener and mow their lawn. They're just complete hypocrites, and they're full of crap. Malibu. What a joke. That's why I left Malibu. The taxes, the traffic, and the morons. That's why I left Malibu. The liberal morons. Liars, frauds, and hypocrites. When we get back, the Malibu story. Wayne on the Route. War Now. My board op Charlie's telling me about some businesses he owned in 1978-79. In 78-79, Vegas was a tiny city. It was like 300,000 people. Tropicana was a 2-lane highway. There you go. Vegas was 300,000 people. Now it's 2 million. Wow. All right. So we're talking about Malibu, though. I told you I was going to talk about Malibu. Malibu, the headline is Malibu becomes a sanctuary city in solidarity with its gardeners, cooks, and others in the U.S. illegally. The discussion inside Malibu City Hall over whether to become a sanctuary city last week bore the usual hallmarks of the heated national debate over illegal immigration. Some residents praised the proposal. Others blamed those who were in the country illegally for crime and called the move a thinly disguised rebuke of President Trump. But it being Malibu, there was a celebrity twist. The idea was inspired by one of the town's many famous residents. Actor Martin Sheen. Didn't I just finish telling you the story of Martin Sheen? When I lived in Malibu 20 years ago, he invited every homeless person to come up to Malibu, but not to his house. In December, he grabbed the lectern during a city council meeting, and as if conjuring his inner president, Josiah Bartlet from the West Wing, urged the city to become a sanctuary city. Like many sanctuary city resolutions, Malibu's is largely symbolic. The move passed 3-2. It means absolutely nothing. They're part of L.A. County, but it's a chance for Malibu's moneyed, privileged elite to stand up for the city's vulnerable population. Malibu is 92% white and one of L.A. County's wealthiest cities. Everyone agrees the city has workers who are not authorized to be in the U.S., and they tend to serve the food at upscale restaurants, clean the beachside mansions, look after children, and keep the landscaping looking lush. When I reached out to some of the people at the schools and other people in the community, they told me people are scared, said Councilwoman Laura Rosenthal, who proposed the ordinance after hearing Sheen speak. That's people coming into Malibu who may be undocumented. I wanted to send a message that we are here for you. Yeah, you're here for them, so as long as they clean the toilet bowls and mow the lawns. We'll get back to more of that in a second. Let's grab a few calls. We've got a Malibu joke on line 2 with Dave. Line 2. Dave, what's your Malibu joke?
You said Malibu morons, and I remembered it. It's an old joke. How is California like a bowl of granola?
How?
What ate fruits and nuts is flakes.
Yeah, exactly. My father used to tell, in 1970s, my father used to tell me that when I threatened to move to California. I actually wanted to go to Pepperdine University when I was 17 years old.
I told you it was an old joke.
Yeah, it's an old joke. I wanted to go to Pepperdine, and my dad said they're all fruits and flakes and weirdos in California. And, I wound up going to California, and they were fruits and flakes and weirdos, but it's a beautiful place to live. Unfortunately, the taxes are too high, the traffic's awful, and the liberals are suffocating. They make you want to vomit. The people in Malibu were the strangest people I've ever been around in my whole life. Total snobs, elitists. Nothing in their life is anything but white. White houses, white cars, white wives, white children, white little snobby private schools, limousines, private jets, private helicopters. Everything is white. Even their dogs are white. But all they talk about is voting liberal and helping the poor people. Yeah, as long as they stay away from them, other than cleaning their toilets and mowing their lawns. All right, thank you for the call, Dave. We've got line 3, Dane. Dane, you're on with Wayne. Is this Dane, the famous Dane Censor?
This is me.
Hey, what's going on? Did you call?
Well, listen, yes, I did call, and I was referred to Michael Rodriguez, who I asked, is this true? He's basically generally said, no, it's not. I put out a press release today. I says, well, did the press put any information so I can get it? He said, well, that's up to the press. I says, well, good luck with that, I told him, because they're not going to put information out like that. They don't want that. The media, are you kidding? They're for the basically illegals. So I said, can you email me? And he said, yeah, he'll email me. And I also told him, I think you should call Wayne Allen Root's radio station and clarify what you've told me. So hopefully he'll call. I don't know if he will, but at least you can get the information from this man at that number you gave me. And
I'd like to hear what their retort, what their response is to the fact that this article says Clark County was number 1 in the United States of America in denying ICE requests for detainment last week. I'd like to hear what they say to that, because I don't know how you could fake that. The article printed out, it was 100 pages long, so I didn't bother printing it out, but it actually printed out, Dane, the entire report with every city every county in the United States and the amount of ICE requests that were rejected, and Clark County was number 1. You're telling me that's a made up study? That's not true? That report didn't happen? Somebody's committing fraud? I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I asked him, I said, listen, if this is a sanctuary city, who sanctions it to be a sanctuary city? Is it the mayor? Is it the governor? Who is it? Well, nobody wants to take the responsibility if it is a sanctuary city to say it is. So there's a lot of confusion. He could clear it up by calling you, getting the statement out, this press release. He said it was supposed to email. If I get an email, I'll send it to you. But I think he would, best to his advantage, there's so many people out there like myself who want to know exactly what's going on. Because I, as a citizen, I don't want I have to follow the laws. Why aren't the other people? And if they're denying the ICE, the people that are illegal, to report them to them, especially the criminals, that's a problem.
No, I like your reasoning because, Dane, here's what I would say to the police department. If any of them were to dare say to me, Wayne, these are nice people. They're undocumented. There are people. We don't want to attack them. We don't want to deport them. It's not fair. Then I would say, hey, by the way, I just want you to know, I robbed a pizzeria a few minutes ago. Go screw yourself because you can't arrest me anymore because you're not following the law. Why should they get away with breaking the law? Then I can get away with breaking the law. Which law do you want me to follow this week? I love that line of reasoning because as far as I'm concerned, I have a right to knock an old lady down and steal her purse. You know why? Because that guy over there is an illegal alien breaking the laws of the United States Constitution, and you don't care. So why would you care about me knocking an old lady over? What's the difference? A crime is a crime. If you're not going to enforce one, then don't enforce the other one. Don't enforce any of them. What do we need police for? Are you not going to enforce people that are in this country illegally? Really? Obviously, ICE only asks you to detain somebody if they were already arrested for another crime. So it's not like you're arresting a nice Mexican grandma who's never done anything wrong in her life. This is about criminals who I believe, I understand the story, they're being let out of Clark County Detention Center, and ICE asks you to detain them and wait until ICE arrives so they can grab them and deport them out of the United States. And we lead the nation in saying no to that request. That means you're talking about deporting criminals, not guilty of being here illegally, guilty of other crimes besides being here illegally. What's wrong with that? Nothing. Nothing.
Ask them about the people that have been murdered, citizens of the United States, fathers and mothers who've lost their sons and daughters and fathers and mothers to illegal aliens who've been here and deported not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, 6 or 7 times. Ask them what about those. That's what I want to know.
Right. I agree. And that's why, specifically, Donald Trump was elected President of the United States. We're all sick of it. All right, Dane did a great job for Donald Trump. Dane Sensor, good man, good fan and friend of the show, fan and friend of Wayne Allyn Root, and appreciate that you stopped by my home at the party for Henderson candidate for mayor, Rick Workman. Great guy. I want to remind all of you, by the way, thank you, Dane, and want to remind all of you to vote for Rick Workman if you're a Henderson resident. We've got to get you out and vote in the municipal election in Henderson so we make sure we get the right guy for mayor of Henderson. And we show our power because Rick is not spending much money, and the gal he's running against is a Democrat and a liberal and a liar, someone who tries to cover up she's a Democrat, commits fraud. As far as I'm concerned, that's fraud. If you don't admit you're a registered Democrat, that's fraud. And she also will not admit that she's for, I'm sure she's for sanctuary cities too, by the way, but she won't admit that she's for low-income, high-density housing in Henderson. And I'm sure she won't admit she's for higher taxes, but they always are. All these politicians, including Republicans, are for higher taxes. So few of them ever fight on our behalf. But this woman, Deborah Marsh, nah, you don't want her as mayor of Henderson. You want Rick Workman. And Dane was at the fundraiser for Rick last week. So were many of you, my listeners. Really appreciate it. Great turnout. All right, line 1, Gary. Gary's on line 1. Gary, you're on with WAR.
All right, Wayne, WAR. Let me see. I want Donald Trump to step in because the mainstream's having a ball with this veteran who served honorably twice, 2 tours in Afghanistan. They want to deport him because when he got out of the Army, he screwed up and sold drugs or something. I don't even understand how a veteran who could serve overseas in the military is, being deported. But, as usual, the mainstream does having a ball with this. And I wish Donald Trump would step in and, do something about this because, it's a public relations war. And I don't think this guy deserves it. There's something funny about that. And the other thing is I call that number that Christine gave out.
Yes.
I pressed 1 because I'm a resident. But I guess I should have pressed 2 if I was from the media. And when you press 0 through the menu to get a real person, it just starts in a few moments later, it starts the whole menu all over again. So it doesn't work so good. And one more thing before you cut me off.
So send an email to PIO@lvmpd.com, meaning Public Information Officer, PIO at Las Vegas,
PIO.
and then the initials for Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, LVMPD.com.
I'll do the best I can. But wait, before you hang up on me, speaking of old ladies, I watched Beverly Hillbillies, and Granny said, Why do we need to import nuts from South America? We have enough nuts in California. I thought that was a great soundbite for the show, I swear to God.
Thank you,
Gary. It really was.
All right, Gary. Appreciate
right.
it, buddy. Only Gary watches the Beverly Hillbillies. I haven't seen the Beverly Hillbillies in 30 years. I think the young girl, the gorgeous young hot blonde, who is now old enough to be Granny, just died recently. I believe I saw in the newspaper that she died in the last few months. And so, boy, does time move fast, right? Time moves on. That young, hot babe was grandmother aged and dead now. I believe I saw. Time moves on. All right, Wayne Allyn Root, War Now. We got lots more callers, and we'll take more. 844 War Now 1. 844 toll free, War Now 1. And when we get back, it's calls, and more calls from you. I want to hear from you. Call back. All right, Wayne Allyn Root, War Now. We got callers waiting. We'll take James, line 2. James, you're on with War. How are you?
Doing good, Wayne. How you doing?
Good.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
All right. What's on your mind?
So, listening to the conversation here is my beat, and I hope Henderson, North Las Vegas, Boulder City, Las Vegas, the cops, I am pro-cop, and I hope they hear this when I say this. I think some of them hands might be tied, but the fact that sometimes you get the sheriff come on, and he talks about how they always have those see something, say something, and, for the terrorist thing and stuff, which kind of goes on the same line, but not really. But when you report the illegals and stuff, and they don't want, and they swipe their hands at it, like with what you're talking about, and it's like, oh, it's not our job to do that. Yes, it is. You have laws that you're supposed to follow, especially as a sheriff, and the fact that you don't, and I hate to see Las Vegas become a sanctuary city. It should not be one. And if this is a money thing, then that's wrong. But they've got a job to do. If they don't want to do it, it's easy to step down and let the next person do it and do it right.
Right. Agreed. All right, James. Thank you. Thanks for the call. We'll take JD on line 3. Line 3, JD. JD, you're on with War.
Hey, thank you, Wayne. First of all, thank you for having that benefit for Rick Workman. That was very nice of you. Second, tomorrow for early voting at Albertsons from 9 to 5, Stephanie Street and Horizon Ridge at Albertson. And you can vote Thursday and Friday at the Anthem Country Club from 9 to 5 at the Solara and at Sky Drive and Somersworth.
Okay.
Now, in regard to sanctuaries, about 6 weeks ago, Cheryl Atkinson, I'm sure you know her, she was a pretty darn good reporter for CBS. For 20 years, she got fired because she would not stop giving reports on the Obama administration that they didn't want to air. She now has a show on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. I forget the name of it. But about 6 weeks ago, she was talking about sanctuary cities with people. She not only declared California, Colorado, New Mexico, and Connecticut sanctuary states, but then she went on to talk about sanctuary cities in which she declared Clark County as a sanctuary county. 3 days later, Charlie Rose, that little Irish leprechaun who's probably not very conservative, he also talked about Clark County on his morning show, 7 a.m. in the morning, as Clark County being a sanctuary city. That was the thing with the sheriff on another show in the morning that I wouldn't respond to.
JD, we've only got 30 seconds. Just making sure you know. Running out of time.
Can I hold
30
on?
30 seconds. You can
I hold on?
Yeah, why don't you hold on, and we'll go to our news break. When we come back, we'll finish up the sanctuary city conversation. I think all of us need to be asking questions. We should all be calling City Hall and asking Mayor Goodman, is it a sanctuary city? What is it? I want to know. I want to know who's taking responsibility for calling it one. Wayne Allyn Root, War Now. After the news, we'll have lots more great guests, lots of talk, and lots of your calls. 844 War Now 1. War Now 1. War. All right, Wayne Allyn Root. I ended the last segment by mentioning Tomi Lahren, one of the most beautiful women in all of conservative talk, Blaze TV host. I was there on the day that they hired her. I was at Glenn Beck's studio. I just did an interview there, and I was meeting with them about many other issues, and I was sitting right nearby with my good friend Craig Kitchen when Tomi Lahren walked in on the very first day of her employment there, and I knew she'd be a big star, and she became a big star. And now Glenn Beck has suspended her and her show for at least 1 week starting Monday, although it looks like she's on the way out anyway. Her contract with the company goes till September, but she may leave the company before then. And now that this has happened, I think it's pretty definite. They're probably going to cut a deal and she'll walk away from them. But her inflammatory style placed her at odds with her employees at the Blaze. Tensions were high between Lara and her coworkers even before she called pro-life conservatives hypocrites in an appearance on The View. But see, this is how things get blown out of proportion. Listen to the words and tell me if she said something horrible. They asked her about pro-life, and she said, I can't sit here and be a hypocrite and say I'm for limited government, but I think the government should decide what women do with their bodies. So they take that and suddenly, and they is not liberal media, they is conservatives who are pro-life, freaked out and said, she's calling us all hypocrites. If you read the words, she didn't say, oh, I hate you, you're a hypocrite, you're a horrible person. She said, I would be a hypocrite myself if I said I'm for smaller government, but that government should tell me what to do with my own body as a woman. There's lots of debate allowed on this issue. I believe we're allowed to be pro-life conservatives and pro-choice conservatives in the same tent. And so I don't think it's such a terrible comment. I have a great back and forth argument all the time in my mind about this one issue. On every issue you can name, I'm a 100% conservative. I'd get a rating of 100% from the Heritage Foundation if I was a congressman or a senator on every fiscal issue. But on social issues, I'm much more libertarian. I'm not pro-choice. I'm not someone who thinks abortion is good. I think it's horrible. And I don't want anyone in my family ever be involved in an abortion. And I would counsel to them that I believe it's wrong and you shouldn't do it. But it's, basically, it's a legal thing. And it's between a woman and God. And she's got to live with it for the rest of her life. I personally couldn't live with it. I wouldn't get an abortion. If I was a woman, I couldn't do it. But that doesn't mean I would stop you from doing it. I think the Republican Party makes a big mistake even getting involved in the issue. The only involvement I have is that women have a right to get an abortion. Roe v. Wade, it's been decided. They have a right until you get to the third trimester. I would put absolute, massive limitations on abortion. It's between a woman and God. She can do what she wants till you get to the third trimester. Then you can't have it. You can't have an abortion in the third trimester. It's a person. It's a living thing. It's growing and breathing in the body. It's there. It is a person at that point. And that's my line that I draw. And I would not allow children, young girls, to get abortions without informing their parents. You can't go sit and get a tooth pulled or a cavity drilled if you're a 16-year-old kid without informing your parents. Why would you be allowed to get an abortion? So I am conservative on many issues, but in general, I don't see abortion being banned. I just think it should be banned in the third trimester. I believe partial birth abortion is a disgusting thing that should be banned. I don't think government should pay for abortion because so many people in our society think it's murder and a sin, and therefore government tax money shouldn't be used from you to pay for something that you object to and think is horrible. So I am conservative, but I'm with Tomi Lahren. In general, I don't want government telling me what to do. And so I could see how someone could think that it's big government to tell you what to do if you're a woman. I could totally understand that view, and I could respect it. And I don't think you should be suspending people for free speech in this country. I don't think because you find one issue you disagree with me on, you should say, I'm never going to listen to this show again. And I don't think the owner of this station, a wonderful owner named Edward Stolz, should say, if there's one thing I found I disagree with Wayne, I'm going to suspend him. He can never be on the air again. I just think that's a mistake. I think it's a line you don't want to cross. I think Glenn Beck's made a big mistake. I think he should have Tomi Lahren on his show to explain her comments and give her a chance to talk about it and explain his view. But it's just too much. And I don't think conservatives should be at war with each other over the issue of abortion. I've always felt that abortion and gay rights are issues we should get the hell out of. Because I'm telling you, they're hurting the conservative movement. I've always said that. Get the hell away from them like a hand grenade. They're just not my issues. I'm involved in fiscal issues, and I think all the other issues, I'm libertarian. I don't want government involved. So in many ways, I agree with Tomi Lahren. I just wouldn't have used the line that I assume is what got her suspended. I'm sure she's not suspended because she's pro-choice, which, by the way, I would not describe myself as. I would say pro-life, but it's none of my business for other people. There just have to be severe limitations in the third trimester. That's the way I would describe it. But on the other hand, she said conservatives are hypocrites if they believe in smaller government, and then they also believe in telling a woman what to do with their body, and that's what got her in hot water. I wouldn't have used those words, but I still don't think you should suspend her. I think it's wrong. In any case, Tomi Lahren, I'm sure will land on her feet and have a great job. I wanted to read you, in this segment of the Root Rant, where I open the hour, I wanted to read you a couple things. First of all, if you weren't with us in the 3 and 4 o'clock hour, one of my good friends quoted an article at USA Today today, which said that we are basically not only a sanctuary city, Las Vegas, but a sanctuary police department. And I looked it up, and the article at USA Today has been revised and clarified. In the very last week of January and first week of February, Clark County, Nevada, led the nation in the number of requests by ICE to detain a person and not let them walk away from the jail, the detention center, detain them for ICE so ICE could deport them out of the country. And that they led the nation among all the police departments that refused to cooperate with ICE. You hear what I just said? ICE believes that Clark County Metropolitan Police Department does not cooperate with ICE, and that they made 51 detention requests in that last week of January, first week of February, and they believe all 51 will be denied by Clark County. And I gave the phone number out if you want to let the sheriff's office know that you disagree with this and that we should not be a sanctuary city, we should not be a sanctuary state, we should not be a sanctuary county, and we certainly shouldn't be a sanctuary police department. I don't want our police officers and our police department ignoring requests from ICE for detaining bad guys. That's outrageous. What, the police don't follow the law anymore? And no matter how many times you guys deny that we're not a sanctuary city, we are a sanctuary city for all intents and purposes. No matter how many times you deny that you're cooperating with ICE, you aren't cooperating with ICE. Because ICE says you're not cooperating with ICE. So here's the phone number and the email to go after the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and let them know what you think. And you know I'm always behind the boys in blue. I'll bet you the foot soldiers, the policemen out on the beat, are all on our side, my side, your side. But the leadership is obviously not. So call the Office of Public Information at 702-828-3394. 702-828-3394. And give them a piece of your mind and let them know that you saw an article in USA Today or you heard on Wayne Allyn Root's show. There was an article in USA Today today that says that ICE believes that Clark County does not cooperate, or Las Vegas Police Department does not cooperate with ICE and turns down their requests for detaining bad guys who are illegals. And that they made 51 requests in a week that leads the nation, and they believe all 51 will be turned down. 702-828-3394, or email them at pio@lvmpd.com. PIO for Public Information Officer at LVMPD, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.com. In the interests of fairness, I always read letters from liberal morons who say bad things about me. Here's Patty, who says, "You are an idiot. First of all, I want to send you a big thank you for saving me money every month. Ever since the RJ started printing your ridiculous columns and your ludicrous articles, I canceled my subscription. Any paper that would print the tripe you spew does not need my hard-earned money. Would you please do us the honor of crawling back into the hole you slimed out of?" Patty Romeo of Las Vegas, obviously. Patty Romeo. If you know her, tell her to call the show. I'd love to have a chance to debate Patty Romeo. And here's one more great one. Oh, this guy's a winner. This guy is a winner. This guy, his name is, hold on, I got to find the name. It's not that easy to find the name on these things. The name is Dinkins. Clyde Dinkins. Clyde sent a letter to every single executive at the Las Vegas Review-Journal and every living human being who's in politics in the state of Nevada and the United States of America. He CC'd everyone in the world, the Council of La Raza, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman, Steve Wynn himself, Sheldon Adelson, the owner of the RJ, the national chairman of the Jewish Anti-Defamation League, ADL, the Clark County chairman, Steve Sislak, Sheriff Joe Lombardo, all the Las Vegas Sheriff top officers, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce, the Las Vegas Better Business Bureau, Zappo CEO Tony, I don't know how you pronounce his name, I never have known, Say, Las Vegas Review-Journal publisher, Las Vegas Sun publisher Brian Greenspan. It goes on and on and on. He CC'd Alan Stock and Heidi Harris at KDAWN. They're not at KDAWN anymore, you moron. They're back at CBS. Clark County Poet Laureate Bruce Isaacson. Oh, my God. The Associated Press, the UPI, USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. And basically what he said is, Wayne Root wrote a column calling Brian Sandoval the worst Republican governor in America. And because of that, he says, I'm a racist. I'm a racist. Do you apologize to Governor Sandoval for calling him the worst Republican governor in America? If you refuse to, you're a racist. Mentally ill man. To you, columnist Wayne Root, apologize to the Nevada Hispanic community and the United States of America Hispanic community for this insult to one of their favorite sons. Again, a simple yes or no will do. If you refuse, you're a racist. Columnist Root, my college professors, especially philosophy professor. Did you ever bother to ask Clyde if a philosophy professor could ever get a job in the real world besides being a moronic snowflake philosophy professor? Dr. Pasquale Schiavella taught me how to deal with vicious rhetoricians such as you. Is that a word? Rhetoricians? Clyde, I don't think that's a word. I say to my brothers and sisters in the Hispanic community, first of all, Clyde, he identifies himself as a senior citizen and African American. The Hispanic community is not your brother and sister, okay? I say to my brothers and sisters in the Hispanic community, La lealtad a la verdad es lo primero. We must not let Root get away with this demeaning, defaming of our governor, Brian Sandoval, and the Hispanic community. I defame the Hispanic community by saying he's the worst Republican governor in America. I don't even know he's Hispanic. Brian Sandoval, for all I know, he's Italian. Meaning, unless I hear from him or he calls a press conference to announce he's apologizing to Governor Sandoval and the Nevada Hispanic community, I will reach out to organize a rally and demonstration at the Review-Journal building or Las Vegas City Hall or anywhere the Hispanic community chooses. Sincerely, Clyde Dinkins. Now, this is what I put up with on a daily basis from mentally ill libtards, okay? I want to show you my reply, and then we'll go to ad break. Dear Mr. Dinkins, I fear you are the racist. I've never in my life ever thought of Governor Sandoval as an Hispanic, quote-unquote. He's a Republican governor to me. His ethnic background has never entered into my mind. It's completely immaterial. On the other hand, I'm a Jew. You mean every time any liberal criticizes me, I should charge that they hate Jews and they're clearly anti-Semites? Every criticism in life of anyone must, in your mind, be based on racism and the ethnic background of that person. This is truly a new low for America. Is this really how low liberalism has fallen? So based on your letter and your own standards, I am now charging you with anti-Semitism. It's clear that if you criticize me, you are absolutely a Jew hater. Do you like it when the shoe's on the other foot, Clyde? Please stop acting like a little child throwing a hissy fit because you don't like what mommy or daddy just said. Governor Sandoval was criticized by me for his policies and his agenda, none of which had anything to do with the color of his skin or his race or his ethnic background or whether he belongs to the La Raza Governors Association. I couldn't care less what his heritage is. His policies are bad for Nevada. His policies are bad for business and in direct opposition to Republican conservative values which come from Ronald Reagan. I spelled out very clearly those values. Those are my opinions. I write an opinion column for the RJ in case you don't understand that in your little infantile mind. None of my criticisms had anything to do with ethnic heritage. God bless America. Thank God we still have free speech. Anyone is free to criticize any politician without being labeled as a racist. Now, I'm certain everyone on this long list you sent your letter to agrees and finds your entire letter to be a bizarre charade. You're a liberal masquerading as a Republican defending Brian Sandoval. How do I know? Because I read every letter to the editor of the RJ in the 15 years I've lived in Las Vegas, and I've seen your name many times. Your hate towards conservatives is beyond reason. I had hundreds of letters and calls from fellow Republicans thanking me for my column about Governor Sandoval. Good luck with your letters to the editor. Maybe the RJ will publish your opinions. That's what makes America great. This will be the last time I answer anything from you. I have no time. I don't see Governor Sandoval as an Hispanic. He's a Republican. People don't run for office with Hispanic next to their name. It says Republican or Democrat next to their name. I'm a fellow Republican who doesn't like his policies, and that's the only grounds on which he was criticized from me. God bless Wayne Root. Okay, Clyde Dinkins, now stuff it up. You're a liberal, you know what. What a moron. You're a moron, Clyde Dinkins. Got that? And anytime you want to protest, bring all your Black Lives Matters protesters down right here to K-Bet. Come on down. You will make me the most famous radio host in America. I challenge you. I dare you. I beg you. Bring the entire liberal community down to K-Bet and march outside and tell them all how terrible Wayne Root is. And I'll be glad to light the flame. I'll call Fox. I'll call ABC. I'll call NBC. I'll call Fox News. I'll have TV news trucks here. Wayne Root will be going one-on-one with all of you, and I'll be the most famous guy in the world on Fox News that evening. So Clyde Dinkins, in the words of Monty Hall, come on down. Let's make a deal. Come on down, Clyde. Liberals like you make my day. You're all so dumb. You're all so ignorant. Your spelling sucks, by the way. You don't know what you're saying. You don't believe in free speech. You trample the Constitution. Come on down and debate with me one-on-one. I'll make mincemeat out of you. But bring a crowd of protesters. Fill the streets outside K-Bet. I dare you. Come on down. Wayne Allyn, WAR Now. All right, Wayne Allyn back again. Hey, Clyde Dinkins, you can bow and pray to my neon you-know-what. Can you imagine thinking that you're so important as a senior citizen African-American that you could CC your letter to everyone in the world? Hey, by the way, Clyde Dinkins, why did you CC Barack Obama, ex-president of the United States? I'm sure Obama would care about your letter about Wayne Root. I mean, it could be the single stupidest thing I've ever seen. He CC'd the entire world, including Sheriff Joe Lombardo, who I'd like to get on the show to talk about whether we're a sanctuary city. He's CC'ing about Wayne Root being a racist towards Hispanics. What are you talking about? You're not allowed to criticize an Hispanic governor because he's Hispanic, really. So I didn't even know he's Hispanic. I don't think of him as Hispanic. I don't care if he's Hispanic. It's the same reasoning that you can never criticize for 8 years Barack Obama because he was black. I mean, liberals are retarded. There's something wrong with them. And I apologize to anyone who is retarded for comparing you to a liberal. Because you know what? There's something wrong with somebody who writes letters like that. Can you imagine? My column about Brian Sandoval had nothing to do with ever the word Hispanic. Nothing. And that elicits a response like that. So absurd. Boy, I hope he comes down here and brings the whole Black Lives Matter crew with him, and La Raza too. Speaking of illegals, and we all know not all Hispanics are illegals, but the majority of illegals are Hispanics. 30 countries are refusing to take back illegal immigrants convicted of serious crimes. 30 countries are refusing to accept the deportations of illegal immigrants who have committed serious crimes in the U.S., according to Texas Congressman Henry W.A.R. While these countries are refusing to accept the deportation of these criminals, the U.S. government is still issuing visas and student visas to citizens of those countries. There's already a law in the books which allows the U.S. to hold visas from a country that is not taking back its criminals. But according to W.A.R., the U.S. is not enforcing it. Donald Trump, are you listening? We're not enforcing it, which is amazing. So now my intent is to go back to our committee on the appropriations and affect their funding until they do that. W.A.R., a Democratic member of the House Committee on Appropriations, a Democrat, really? A Democratic member of the House Committee on Appropriations told Atkinson that the Supreme Court has ruled that illegal immigrants arrested for criminal activity can only be held for a certain period of time before they must be released. That means you're releasing criminals into our streets because those countries refuse to take back those criminal aliens. This is a Democrat talking. I kind of like this guy. Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar. I'm assuming it's pronounced Cuellar. That's wrong. And I especially think it's even worse that this is already on the books and we're still issuing tourist visas and student visas to countries that refuse to take back their criminal aliens. This is a Democrat talking. Cuellar has not been afraid to break with some of his party leadership on immigration issues in the past. He was known as one of former President Barack Obama's fiercest critics on illegal immigration. Really? I didn't know any of this. I'm sure all of you are hearing this for the first time. There's actually a good Democrat out there. If Andrew Paul, if you're listening to the show, Andrew's not here right now. If you're listening, get me Cuellar. Get me him on this show. Texas Representative Henry Cuellar, Cuellar. I want him on War Now. Cuellar teamed up with Texas Republican Senator John Cornyn to help pass a bill that would speed up the deportation of unaccompanied minors. Bravo! His stance disappointed his fellow Democrats, including Harry Reid. Anyway, of course, if a country doesn't take back illegal immigrant criminals, you know what we tell the country? Go to hell. We're not letting any of your people in. There will be no visas issued. Of course. All right, time for a root rant about Harry Reid Airport. This is my commentary that will be in Thursday's RJ, the disaster of Harry Reid Airport. I'm a branding, marketing, and promotion expert. I've used branding techniques to build several million-dollar businesses and successful careers in fields as disparate as best-selling author, talk radio host, TV producer, business speaker, political commentator, and sports handicapper. I lecture on branding American style. That's the name of my speeches that I give all over the globe. Branding American style. What's the greatest brand in the world, in my opinion? Las Vegas. The brand name Vegas says fun, celebrity, glitz, glamour, gambling, golf, sex, shopping, and sunshine all in one. That's a pretty good name. That's a lot of branding. No matter where I go in the world, when I say I'm from Vegas, the reaction is amazing and instantaneous. Whomever I'm talking to smiles, laughs, and very often screams, Vegas, baby! Wow. You live there? Just the mention of those two magical words makes everyone in the world stop like I'm in one of those old E.F. Hutton television commercials. You know, everybody stops talking when they hear the word Vegas, and they start smiling. But those two magic words I'm referring to are Las Vegas, not Harry Reid. Outside America, no one has any idea who the hell Harry Reid is. Inside America, I'll bet you 90% of Democrats across this country haven't a clue who Harry Reid is. Don't believe me? Watch those man-in-the-street polls taken on Jimmy Kimmel Live on ABC. They asked people who Joe Biden was last year. You know, the vice president of the United States of America for 8 consecutive years. And nobody walking on Hollywood Boulevard knew who Joe Biden was. Biden was anonymous to your typical average American. So trust me, even most Democrats haven't a clue outside of Nevada who Harry freaking Reid is. But I guarantee you that many, if not most, of the 62 million people that voted for Donald Trump know the name Harry Reid. Republicans outside Nevada despise Harry Reid. He is public enemy number one. This is a reality. It doesn't matter if you like him or if you think he brought home the bacon for Nevada, if you get mad that I just called him public enemy number one. This is about reality. This is about branding and growing Vegas tourism, not your partisan beliefs. To Republicans nationally, Harry Reid is the vicious little politician who carried Obama's water for 8 years, who shoved Obamacare down our throats, who fought for open borders and illegal immigration. There we go again. Who made sure we were all taxed and regulated to death, and in many cases, put out of business. To every Republican I know, Harry Reid is the devil personified. To many Republicans I know, he's a symbol of corruption and hyper-partisanship in Washington, D.C. By the way, I hate to break this to Democrats, but tourists in Vegas are upscale because people on welfare and food stamps, they don't tend to travel much. And our hotels are very expensive. And of course, don't forget, you're now charging every day for valet parking. And don't forget your resort fees of $50 a day. And Vegas restaurants, spas, shows, and golf courses cost a fortune. So last I checked, the typical Democratic voter who's poor and on food stamps isn't visiting Las Vegas. The tourists visiting Vegas have to have money. Our tourists are middle class and way above. A huge number of conventioneers are upscale business executives, CEOs, people that make hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a year. And you know what that means? A large majority of the tourists that visit Vegas every year voted for Donald Trump. Like it or not, the typical Vegas visitor, and especially the typical Vegas conventioneer, is a Republican. Now think about this for a moment. 62 million people think Harry Reid is the devil. And most of the rest of them in America have never heard of Harry Reid. And Democrats in Carson City want to rename our airport after him. Yes, you heard me. They want to rename McCarran as Harry Reid Airport. Hell of a branding idea. Democrat politicians in Carson City have one thing in common. None of them has ever run a successful business. They know nothing about branding, or in this case, about destroying a brand with a name that inspires anger and negativity. Harry Reid's name on our airport would be the worst branding disaster in business history. It would be an albatross to Vegas tourism forevermore. His name makes 62 million Republicans want to either vomit or throw stones or both. Every time the pilot announces we're beginning our descent into Harry Reid Airport, passengers will grab their throw-up bag. Is that the first reaction you want a Vegas visitor to have? We're the tourist capital of the world, and the number one rule of tourism is to keep politics out of it. Or have you noticed any Hilton, Hyatt, or Marriott hotels named after Republicans or Democrats? Our airport shouldn't remind anyone of partisan politics. The truth is, McCarran's a lousy choice too. Who the hell's McCarran? His name means nothing to over 40 million tourists a year, many of them international tourists, international travelers who've never heard of Senator McCarran. You got to be 90 years old to have ever heard of McCarran. So first, let's kill this ridiculous partisan idea of equating Vegas tourism forevermore with Harry Reid. That's a disaster waiting to happen. And secondly, let's get rid of the name McCarran too. Let's accentuate the greatest brand in the world and rename our airport Las Vegas International Airport. That's my commentary in Thursday's RJ, assuming they allow me to print it. I don't know how far Harry's tentacles go still. I'm Wayne Allyn, WAR Now. I know all of you listening out there are standing up, giving me a standing ovation as I speak. And I know every one of you, when you hear over the loudspeaker, we're just about to land, we're making our initial descent into Harry Reid Airport, you will grab the vomit bag with me and show them what you really think of Harry. I'm Wayne Allyn, WAR Now. All right, Wayne Allyn. I also thought I'd mention that I'll be writing a commentary about my experiences with the IRS and how Obama sicked them on me to try and destroy my life. So how can anyone think that there's no chance that Trump is right, that he was wiretapped? Are you kidding me? The same guy who used the IRS to destroy his critics would have any sort of a problem, any conscience about wiretapping a guy running for president against his chosen candidate, Hillary Clinton, and you don't take Donald Trump's side? Are you kidding me? Of course Donald Trump was wiretapped. Of course they wiretapped Trump Tower. The New York Times said that a FISA request was granted in October, and now all of a sudden, when Donald Trump says, see, I'm wiretapped, he probably based it on reading it in the New York Times. What do liberals say? Oh, there's no wiretap. No wiretap. Then why did the New York Times say a FISA request was granted? First of all, why did they say a FISA request was requested in July but turned down? So Obama was trying to wiretap him in July, and then it was granted in October. That's from the New York Times, folks. Of course they came after Trump. They came after me. If they come after Wayne Root, of course they're coming after Donald Trump. How does anyone ever believe or take the side of a fraud and a criminal like Barack Obama who used the IRS to try and destroy my life? All right, line one. Brian's on the line. Line one, Brian. You're on with Wayne Allyn. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing good, Wayne. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. What's on your mind today, bud?
Well, I couldn't agree more about the airport thing. I think the only thing that Harry warrants his name being on is the cul-de-sac where the House of Ill Repute is located in Searchlight, where he learned to swim as a boy.
I announced on Friday I want his name on the sewage treatment plant. I think the Harry Reid sewage treatment plant is a perfect place to put his name.
Or Yucca Mountain.
After we fund it, exactly. All right, so what's on your mind today, Brian?
One quick aside, I think you're doing a disservice to your listeners when you allow Robert to rant on about a plethora of tinfoil hat issues. I looked up the top 10 causes of death in America. It's the one he states is nowhere there. So I looked up the top 20 and the top 30. It's not even in the top 30.
Well, I'm sure what Robert... Hey, listen, I'm not defending Robert. I let people talk a little bit, and I let them vent, and I'm sure what Robert would say is it's all hidden from public view. But listen, Robert has said some very good things on this show. I don't happen to agree that pharmacists are killing Republicans. I don't happen to agree on that. I don't think they know who a Republican is. Thank God I've never been sick a day in my life, because if Robert's right, I'd be dead by now. Because if they really were killing Republicans, they'd have no trouble knowing who Wayne Root is, and they'd kill me in a second. So I don't think they're looking up, which party grandmas vote for and killing grandmas all across America. No, I don't agree with that. But I let my listeners rant a little bit, and I let them talk. And by the way, Robert has come up with some really good things that I agree with on the radio, just not that one. So I'm with you on that. I don't think pharmacists and doctors are purposely murdering Republicans in America. I don't think that's happening. Do you? No. So
no. Okay. And the main reason I called is about Tommy Lauren and the issue of life. I disagree that it's a big government, small government issue. It's a constitutional issue. It's a Bill of Rights issue. Without the right to life, you have no other right, period. And let's not forget that since Roe versus Wade, women have been equally divided. It's been 50-50. Right now it's 52% of women are pro-life, 48% are pro-choice. So by us not dealing with that issue, that's what the Democrats do. If you're a Democrat, you can't be a pro-lifer. So I agree that people should be allowed to have their own opinion, but, anybody that really studies this issue
from the top to bottom knows that, we're on sound footing by being a pro-life party.
But I do believe that our tent should include pro-choice Republicans from states like California and New York. If you're for smaller government, if you are for less government spending, if you are for less government power into your life, if you're for lower taxes, if you're for killing Obamacare, if you're for getting rid of the climate change lie, the greatest fraud of all time, if you're for sealing and securing the border, if you're for letting in less terrorists from horrible Muslim-oriented countries that have no control over terrorism and can't vet their people, and yet the one issue you disagree with me on is abortion, and you think women should have a right to do what they want to do until the third trimester, when I think all of us agree there's got to be severe limitations and you can't allow abortions or partial birth abortion. All of us in the Republican tent agree on that. But I don't think you make a big deal out of that argument. That's my only point. That's it right there, Brian. Right? I mean, if that's the only thing you disagree with me on, we're in the same team, man.
And again, those people are allowed in the Republican tent, and maybe not so much the conservative tent, but it's the Democrats who shut out everybody that disagrees with them. You won't find one governor, one congressman, anybody on the national stage in the Democrat Party that's pro-life anymore. They've all been booted out, shown the door.
Right. No question about it. You can't be pro-life and be in the Democratic Party, but I think you can be pro-choice and be in the Republican Party. But I do think that Glenn Beck is wrong now that Tomi Lahren, the beautiful blonde on Blaze TV, who is on our side on every issue I've ever seen. I've been on her show multiple times. I think she's great. And the fact that she admits on The View that she's pro-choice, do you know what that does, Brian? That endears liberal women sitting at home by the millions watching The View to the conservative movement because they think maybe we're not all completely closed-minded on the issue of abortion. I think Tomi did a service, not a disservice, to all of us, and I think it's closed-minded to kick her off or suspend her from your network because you disagree on that one view. That would be my point.
Well, I disagree with her tremendously, and I would love to educate her on the issue, but I hear what you're saying, and on that we can't agree.
Yeah, you don't kick her off the network. That's ridiculous, and that appears to be what's happening. She's suspended, and my guess is she doesn't come back at all, but we'll see. All right, Brian, thank you for the call. And by the way, I'm sure every one of you at home doesn't agree with me on every one of my issues, and I'm sure many of my listeners agree with me on almost every issue, but we might have a slight disagreement on a couple of libertarian bedroom issues. Now you just found out I'm not 100% against abortion at all times, every second of the day. I think if you take that position, women in America aren't voting for the Republican Party, which means you get Democrats, which means my taxes are 90% and I go out of business. So in the end, I just don't make a big deal about bedroom issues. People got to do what people got to do behind closed doors, and I'm just not going to get so heavily involved in that. I'm involved in fiscal issues. I'm involved in capitalism. I'm involved in the economy. I'm involved in jobs. I'm involved in saving the middle class of America. And my list just doesn't put a high priority on what decisions women make in the bedroom or in the doctor's office between them and God. It's just not a big issue for me, and it's never going to be, even though I am pro-life. I won't let anyone in my life get an abortion, but it's not my job to lecture somebody else. That's the libertarian streak in me. Got it? Wayne Allyn, WAR Now. All right, Wayne Allyn, welcome back to the last couple minutes of the show. And I wanted to get to the Democrats want to shut down the government over the border wall. Can you imagine? Look, if you are mad at, say, the death penalty, I get that. You know, I'm for the death penalty, but you're against it. Okay. Democrats want to shut down the entire government over the defunding of Planned Parenthood. Okay, I personally would defund Planned Parenthood. See, that's where I may be libertarian about the issue of pro-choice, pro-life, but I don't think government should ever pay someone or an organization to give abortions to anyone. So I would defund Planned Parenthood, at least the section of Planned Parenthood that actually performs abortions. That money should be cut out. But I could see the debate. If a Democrat wants to have a fight over that, I get it. Okay? I get it. But if you're willing to shut down the government over the money to build a wall, what does that say about the Democratic Party? Can you imagine how nutty these people are? You mean There's something wrong with a wall. Walls make good neighbors. That's why I live in gated Anthem Country Club. That's why liberals all live in fancy doorman buildings in Manhattan and Century City and Beverly Hills. That's why they have gates and walls around their homes. That's why the Pope has a wall around his home. That's why Israel built a wall between them and the Palestinians. And terrorism went from 10,000 incidents a year to under 100 because walls work. Walls make for good neighbors is the old funny line. So the idea that you would shut down the United States government because there's funding for a wall in Trump's budget, that's not hurting women and children and seniors and military who depend on their checks because you threw a hissy fit because you don't like a wall? All right, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll continue this battle, this war. Wayne Allyn, War Now. For all the cops out there, you be safe. God bless all of you. See you tomorrow.